back on the X52 podcast. It is Sunday, June 22nd. We are presented, as always, by Jimmy's Famous Seafood. My name is Jake Louque, and I'm joined on my screen by my guy, Arditti, who I know is just super jacked up to talk some Orioles baseball right now. You can just see it in his face.
Yeah, I'm just tweeting out the link. I'm so happy to be talking about this team and everything going on. What a fun last week it has been. So again, I hope everyone woke up and had their baseball and eggs this morning at 8:35 West Coast time, but
and you tuned into your Roku channel, which I'm sure everybody has and is able to watch the games, and there's no problems there. I know that was you were super fired up about that. You were watching you had your Roku like city thing up where it's like the purple city in the background. I saw they had Gunnar Henderson on that. I know you were just so jacked up about that.
Gun to my head, I don't know what Roku is. People are like, oh, well, just go to this and plug in this, and if you hit that, then it pops. I have a TV and I turn it. I have a remote and I flip channels with that. I don't like. I don't know. I don't need to like log into this app and that app, and it's really it's that tweet where it's like, oh yeah, it's on Fabi, and you can get it through Pay Now, and you can do that. Like, fucking let me watch the game at a normal time. Like, I don't need to subscribe to this, that, and the other to watch. My team completely shit down their pants at 10:15 on a Sunday. Like, this shit is so stupid. Yeah. Streaming has ruined sports, but the Orioles have also ruined baseball. So whatever.
Yeah, great place MLB is in when you've got Mike Elias talking about the sort of constraints that a mid-market team faces and how you got to be real careful with your payroll. And, oh, hey, go watch the game on this streaming service that you may or may not have. Sign up for a free trial and then don't remember to cancel. Well, you're getting charged next month, and then you cancel. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know, man. It just seems like I'm sure I'd be singing a different tune if things had gone differently today or maybe in one of the games against Tampa. But I don't know, just a little bit of a salty mood that I'm in sitting down to talk about this last week or so in Orioles baseball.
Yeah. Again, not much has gone right. More guys are getting hurt. It's hot as hell outside. Like this, this is just they're just not a good baseball team that continues to get hurt and beat themselves. And again, they're not as bad as they were a month ago, but they 2 winnable series that they just absolutely fumble away. And this is just who they are. Like we've talked about the last couple of weeks, like, oh, the corner, and are they good? And they can't get over this hump, and when they do, they get injured, and now you got Gary Sanchez catching his 3rd game in a row, and Maverick Hanley is out, and as Adley hits the IL, so it's I don't know, it's been a brutal last week, even though they go 3-4 on the road trip, which is what I thought they would go. I said if you could take 2 in Tampa, I think you'd be happy with that, and you probably assume that you'll take 1 in New York when you're facing Fried and Schmidt and those guys, and that's exactly what they did. But they, outside of yesterday's game, they easily could have won this series and just kind of pissed down their legs yet again. They still can't hit really with guys in running in scoring position, and they just don't do the little things. They don't get guys over. Got guys on every single inning, and they die out there on first and second. So not a very fun week of Orioles baseball again, even though they went 3-4 on a road trip. So
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I think I'm like okay with the overall record, but I think you're right. You're speaking of some good things there where it's like, man, what's going on with consistency, not just game to game, but throughout games? What's going on where like you go out there against Tampa, and I think the 2nd or 3rd game of that series, and you put up 8 runs and hit 3 home runs and just power your way to an 8-0 record. What's going on where that just collapses? And not only, of course, the pitching that's going to be, there's a weird calculus there with Trevor Rogers sitting out for half an hour while he's kind of waiting to go back in, and then he kind of crumbles. The bullpen comes in. They don't do a good job either. Like, I get all that, but it just feels like the consistency with the offense where it's like, and we saw it again today, where you go out there and you put up a couple of runs early and you get yourself in a good position. Dean Kramer pitches his ass off today, only gives up 1 run. I don't have the stats directly in front of me, but overall, I mean, solid effort from him. And then the offense, like I said, 2 runs in the first, and then you just can't do anything. And you're right. And it's not that they didn't do anything. They did get guys on. They get guys in position, and then they don't go for the tactical bunt there to try and move a guy over with no outs. And I don't know. It just feels like things are still very incongruous. And I think you're also right about the injuries. Like, it just feels like this shit is just going to keep happening. Like, Adley Rutschman going to the IL for at least a month. We had Mansolino talking before the game today, oblique strain. He won't be back until the break, which obviously I think we can now assume he probably won't be back until probably late August would be my guess, with the way things have gone this season. I don't know, other factors that I think have played into this. Tomoyuki Sugano has kind of started to fade a little bit. Zach Eflin has really not looked good in his last couple of starts. And those two guys, I was texting in the group chat, like, where is Grayson? Like, when is he supposed to be making his way back? What's the status on, Bradish? I remember obviously hearing that wasn't going to be until late July, probably optimistically, but it's like when those two guys aren't at their best, like, you really got to dig deep offensively, try to get something done. And to their credit, they have in some of these spots, but then you have games like this where you have a Dean Kramer go out there and kind of put some tough starts recently for him behind him and shove today, and you just can't get any run support behind him. And yeah, it's just overall, it's one step forward, two steps back a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like you said, like, we see these little flashes and we're like, oh, nice. I'm out doing errands on whatever night it was when the Orioles are up 8-0. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a nice, they're going to coast to this win. And again, the inconsistency of this offense and just shutting down, like, not even like, oh yeah, they didn't score another run. I don't think they got a hit the rest of that night. Like, they completely just fall off the face of the earth. And today, same thing. So they got guys on. I'm just looking at the game log. Bottom of the 7th, Orioles are up 3-2 or 2-1. You got LeMahieu ground out, Austin Wells single, Jason Dominguez pinch hits, Dominguez lines out. So now you got 2 outs. Trent Grisham walks. So first and second, Judge comes up. You bring in Anthony or Sir Anthony's still in. You strike out Aaron Judge. You're pumping your chest. You're like, boom, here it is. Let's go. Let's add on some runs going into the 8th, and let's go home and win this series. So what happens? Gunnar Henderson walk, Ryan O'Hearn walk. Now you got 2 guys on top of the 8th. Chance to, again, put these guys away, win another series against them. Ramon Laureano can't get a bunt down. He strikes out swinging. Colton Cowser strikes out swinging. Cedric Mullins strikes out swinging. Next inning, Brian Baker kind of, has hiccups and gets beat by, who was it? It was Ben Rice single, Cody Bellinger ground out, Giancarlo single, and then Jazz Chisholm double. So that's pretty much all she wrote there. Bad play by Gary Sanchez, who again is not a great defensive catcher. With Adley going out and Maverick Hanley going out, Chadwick Trump, it's a guy's name David like Banuelos or something like that, or Samuel Basayo. I don't know, but like you mentioned, I mean, the All-Star break is in, I think, like 2.5 weeks. So yeah, I mean, it's like mid-July. I'm looking at my calendar. Yeah, you're thinking end of July maybe, because they said that like they're gonna take it easy with them. But it sucks because when you're 11 games under 500 and you were 18 games under 500, you don't have time to like take it. I get why they're doing it, because it's an oblique and these things linger. But like, it sucks because you don't have time to let an injury to a catcher who is hitting over 300, the last month, you don't have time to let him take his time. And it sucks because you can't force him back out there, and all it's going to do is negatively impact him and the team. But it's, and we haven't even talked about the Westberg injury. He jammed his fingers, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, like, is Colton Cowser, is a piano going to fall on him crossing the street tomorrow? Like,
it would have been nice to have Westberg for a pinch hit spot for like Sanchez there late in the game.
Yeah.
Like,
but even if they pinch hit Sanchez, they don't have a catcher. It's like,
oh yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Which, and again, that's nobody's fault. Like, I saw somebody today who was like, I'm tired of watching Gary play, and it's like, me too. But they quite literally didn't have anyone else. Like, there, you can put Ryan O'Hearn and catch, a lefty catcher out. Like, there was nothing you could do there.
You just put Luis Guevara back there. He, he's proving his versatility, day by day here.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's just, again, this is just kind of, this is what this team is, and again, we've kind of danced around it for a while, and like, you and I were never like pounding the table like, this is it, we're going on a playoff run, we're going to do this. But again, I mean, I think what they showed this week against 2 good teams, then I think this is who they are. They kind of got bullied in Tampa a little bit, and same thing in New York. The Orioles have had the Yankees number for 3 or 4 years now, and this was just a series that they couldn't. The bullpen has been awesome. Brian Baker has been really, really good, and they just faltered. There's nothing you could do about it. It was not their day.
Also, they're gassed, man. Like that's part of the issue with Sugano and Eflin. Like, not being able to go super far into those games, and in Tampa Bay, like they're sweating buckets out there. It's hot and sticky, and then you got to fly up to New York. Like Gunnar actually had to rest in that first game because he was just so tired, apparently. And like maybe there's a little bit of like a shout out to Buck in the booth today. It's like maybe just rub some fucking dirt on it and go play. But to his credit, he does pink shit and actually help win that first game for them. So I don't know. It's just it's one of these things, and I feel like we have this conversation every year, and we were last year where it's like, man, just got to get to the break and get some rest. And that didn't exactly work out for that team, but I think that was overall a much better and less injured team than the one we're looking at. It's like they can't afford to like be looking ahead. They just have to approach every game, like we've been saying, like it's a playoff game. And I think they have in some spots, and then other spots they just don't have the horsepower.
Yeah. And again, the Gunner thing, there were people, again, like we have to realize, like these guys, again, if you watch them in Tampa, it looked like they had jumped into a pool in their uniform. Like no one is playing 162 anymore. Guys are barely playing 155. And we talked about it before, but these guys, I mean, it looked like Gunner was running with a piano on his back last September and October. Like
big show for pianos.
Yeah, right. I'm perfectly fine with him getting a rest. Like you have to rest these guys, especially when it's 90 degrees with 1,000,000,000% humidity. Like that's what I'm seeing people that complain about missing work because they're hungover, and then they're like, Gunner can't get out there and play. You can't play him every day. No, like these guys aren't robots. Like you have to give them breaks. They're going to get breaks. That is okay. And then when they win the game, they're like, see what happens when you play your best guys? It's like, well, maybe we should just shut the hell up and let the professionals make the lineups and do the things that they do. Like it's that bugged me about that on Friday.
Only thing I'd say that is like, I feel like it's fair game to criticize that if it doesn't work, but it did work.
And it worked. But people just jump. I mean, again, they see a lineup and they're like frothing at the mouth. Like, oh my God, how can you do this lineup? They did it on Sunday. And what happened? They scored 11 runs. People are like, how can Mansolino put out this lineup? Then they score 11. It's like, just shut up. Just watch the game. Like, we don't need it's a different conversation for a different day. But again, these guys, it's hot. It's very hot all over. Like, guys are going to have to take breaks. That's what's going to happen. Especially in Tampa, man, that ballpark too. That ballpark, I think I was telling you guys, that ballpark is now in the Yankee Stadium and Fenway lexicon for me as like 27 outs. You got to get 27 outs because who the hell knows what's going to happen when that ball goes in the air. You don't. And same thing, Sacramento kind of. You saw the wind out there. It's like you don't know what's going to happen in these ballparks. So that's officially a house of horrors now. Just because I hate that place, but it's just it was like we said, not a very good week. They can't get over these injuries, and it just seems like they just keep stepping in these puddles and can't. Did we talk about the black cloud hanging over top, and we're like, it's gone. There it is. It's gone. The black cloud is still there. It's just very frustrating week. And again, like if they would have lost this game with Westberg and with Adley, then you're like, yeah, that's the Yankees. They're going to win the division probably, and have a very good chance at going to the World Series again. But with this, it's just like, those are the plays that Gary Sanchez doesn't make. That's Gary Sanchez. We've seen him do that for 10 years. So, nothing you can do. Absolutely nothing you can do there.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't know.
You could hit with runners in scoring position, but that was.
I was going to say, I mean, that kind of, it just ties back to the whole thing is like, what is going on in these guys' minds where they're able to look like that exact type of team that you want them to be and wanted them to be. And they have looked at their best, playing small ball, moving guys over, driving guys in. Like they've been able to do that a little bit here and there, but like why is it happening where you can do that in the first inning of a game and then you just go quiet? Like, are you just like, is there some kind of like, I don't know, like Yankee gravity that's just like pulling you back down when it's like, oh, 2-run lead, got to protect it. Now it's a 1-run lead, got to protect. Like, I don't know. Like it seems like there's something, I would think, a little bit psychological there too. And then the injuries, what you keep bringing up, have to play into it.
It could be psychological, but again, this is a team who has gone in a year ago on Friday. They beat this team's ass 17-5. Like this is an Orioles team. And I've said it before, and I still think it's like a true thing. I don't think like teams aren't afraid of the Yankees anymore. Like the Yankees are very good. Yes, they're good. Judge is incredible, but no one is like, oh my God, the big bad Yankees are coming into town, or like how do we, the Orioles have won plenty of series. They won a series earlier this year where the Yankees hit 15 home runs off of Kyle Gibson. Like, the Yankees are good, but no one is afraid of them. And so they shouldn't be, nervous by the pinstripes or the stadium or the strikeout whistle or anything like that. I mean, again, I get that there's still like an aura there and all that, but to me, again, this Orioles team has handled the Yankees with no problem plenty of times in the past couple of years. So I don't know, maybe it was just, again, like we talked about the schedule last week and the no days off kind of thing. And that continues tomorrow where it's going to be 100 degrees in Baltimore and Texas is coming in. But, I don't know if they're just, I mean, I think they are tired. I think they're dragging. We saw that today with, Yennier Cano getting optioned out to AAA. They need these arms. They need fresh arms in the bullpen and to you, like you said, Eflin and Sagano, the two guys who we were kind of like, well, you can just pencil them in for 6 innings, 1 walk, 6 Ks and 2 runs. That's not the case the last 2 or 3 times out for both of those guys. So and now you're seeing like, the offense was kind of going for a little bit and the bullpen was awesome and the starting pitching was great. And then when the starting pitching goes down, then the bullpen kind of falters and then the offense. And it's a cycle that just can't, they can't just seem to get all on the same page together. So they're not that Chargers team who, where were they? Were number 1 in offense, defense, and special, and then last in special teams. Like they're kind of on that same game plan, but they can't get everything going at the same time. And then when they do get things going, the piano from nowhere falls and crushes someone. So.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, I'd say like it feels like more often you have 2 out of the 3 things where it felt like more often than not in the beginning of the season, all 3 things wouldn't be clicking and they just looked like a straight up bad team. Like,
yeah,
they at least have some fight. Like I'm pissed off right now, and there's just not a lot to talk about after losing a game like that today when you had such a huge opportunity to have a winning road trip within your division when you're still chasing technically within the division and you're certainly still chasing in the wild card. But yeah, overall, I mean, at the very least, it feels like a little bit of an improvement. You put yourself in such a big hole with that start to the season that a little bit of improvement is not enough. You're right. They don't have enough time to continue building the plane while it's in the air. Right. I mean, we're approaching altitude. Like you've got to start putting things together a little bit more comfortably. And it's not happening quite quickly enough. I'd still give Mansolino some credit. Like I said, they just look more competitive, more energetic, swinging at first pitches, stealing bags. Like it's a more, I'll use it again, the W word, watchable product. But is that going to be enough? I guess we'll see. And the trade deadline continues to approach.
Yep. And so I believe they've played 77 games. What are they? 33 and 44, 77.
Yeah.
So they have 85 games left. So even if you win 40 of those, if you go 40 and 45, what is that? 70, that's 73 wins. That's an awful year. So I know Jacob Calvin Myers tweeted out like, the Orioles would have to go this amount of games and play this percentage of winning baseball to get to, I think like 86 is usually right around the number. So again, they would have to win, what is that? 53 games, 53 of the 85.
I think I saw he tweeted about a week ago that if they stayed on the pace that they were playing at, they would pretty comfortably hit like 80 plus. So they've fallen off that pace a little bit after this past week, but they're still like, again, you're counting on guys getting healthy. You're counting on Westberg's thing not being nagging. It was only supposed to be a 2 to 3 day issue, according to Mansolino. But yeah, losing Adley is a big blow to that. And it does make me wonder. I mean, they said that Samuel Basallo is going to have to absolutely blow them away before they're ready to call him up. They weren't planning on doing that maybe at all this season, maybe not until very late, if so. At this point, it's like, I don't know, like, do you try to find out what James McCann is doing, or like?
I saw that name tossed around a little bit. Like, he was, I think he's down in the Braves minor leagues or whatever, AAA Gwinnett. I don't know. I mean, is James McCann the answer? Like
that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, that's a comfy name, and like, yeah, he'll come in and he's a fan favorite, and like that's great and all, but like, is he that much different than Gary Sanchez? I think defensively and leadership wise he is, but like bat wise is that different? Like Maverick Hanley, I kind of would prefer to continue to see his development, and I think that kind of goes along with Basallo. Like we've been talking about with Mayo, like we talked a little bit about with Kerstad, who obviously went down a little while ago. It's like do you take this as an opportunity to be like, hey, yeah, we're still trying to contend and trying to go win this thing, but maybe let's try to do this with some of these young guys and see if they can both learn how to play and be a professional and also learn how to contend when the chips are kind of stacked against you a little bit. It's an interesting debate, and I don't really have the answer, but I wouldn't, I'm not ruling it out. I'm sure they are because of controllable years and Uncle Sig, and all those little buzzwords there, but something I'm thinking about, that's for sure.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point with if you bring in McCann, he's basically just Gary Sanchez with a little better defense and wearing a different number, and people like him a little bit more. And it's like, how can you really do you want two catchers hitting 200 or less? That's, I don't know. It's and again, credit to Gary. Gary's been great. He had the big two out 2 RBI hit on Friday night to get things going. Obviously, the home runs last week. The bat is there, but you saw today with some of the plays at home, and he's not a very good defensive catcher. He's not good at all. And McCann would probably be an upgrade over that. Again, obviously, he's not the most spry, youthful guy anymore. But this team is also it's not like they're a James McCann away from now we're really going to get going. It's just like we've talked about over and over for weeks. It's like a culmination of everything going on right now. It's a perfect storm of shit that could go wrong, and not what if it goes wrong. It all has gone wrong. Like I said, I'm fully expecting the warehouse to just crumble at some point from one of these thunderstorms. Oh yeah, it was hit by lightning and exploded. So it's yeah, that's just if that happened, I'd be yeah, that kind of tracks with how things are going this year. The aquarium goes under or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. It's like we were talking about the weather and how kind of shitty of a spring it's been around here and how we didn't get any good spring weather. And now it's about to be, like you said, 100 degrees next week in the return home for the game against Texas. Things just aren't going to settle in climate wise. And I don't know, you've got to find a way to you've got to be the naturally occurring substance. You've got to be the one that rises above that. Right. And I don't know, these Gen Z TikTok dance, young bucks with their long flowing blonde hair. I don't know if you're going to be getting a ton of that, but I guess we'll see. Maybe El Buffalo could be that guy, but
yeah, I don't know. I've heard some stuff, but just about, how do I phrase this? He gets very upset if things don't go his way. He's not happy with his equipment if he pops out. We'll just leave that. But no, I don't. Like we said, these guys have to go out and eventually they have to start winning games. They have to.
Trent Dilfer.
Yeah. Fuck that guy too. But they got to just start going out and winning these games. They have to start making the plays. It's just this is every game is a playoff game now. We talked about that. This is a full playoff series game. Every game is a must win pretty much. And it sucks when they cannot, they can't bring these games home that they should. Again, the 8-0 game, this game, they cannot get out of their way. And it's very frustrating to watch. And that's just how this season is going to go. It's this has been a year now, and it's maybe this is just not the pattern. It's not a pattern. This is just how it is. This is what they're going to do. So,
well, I got news for you. It's they better figure it out or figure out a way to make this a overall consistently better product and overall consistently better roster just next year. If we're already flipping the conversation over to that, because it all comes back to me that not enough was done this offseason, and it's a cascading effect where it's like we talk about with the top end pitching. Sugano's been overall on balance great signing, but he's one guy, and when he has a couple off nights in a row and Eflin has a couple off nights in a row, that gets the bullpen in there earlier, that taxes them, that makes it much tougher to win a series, in the Bronx. And then you have injuries to your batting order, and Adley Rutschman's going to be out for a little while. That makes catcher all of a sudden an important position. And I know Gary was assigning to, help buttress that a little bit, but I guess we'll see how it works out. And it's just man, a lot of talk about regime changes going on just in the global sense. There might be some talk about regime change here soon if.
Well, Well, we
around. Like,
talked about it. I think when Hyde, was fired, this is the biggest offseason, I think, for the Orioles in franchise history. Like, this is Mike Elias's last chance. They have to nail this next manager hire. They have to, again, you can't have another offseason where you're just dicking around trying to find scraps and weighing like, well, are the value for this year is this and his, like you said, controllable years, and we have that. No, just they have to put a good product on the field next year. They have to sign guys. They have to make this work. And guess what? If you can't sign guys, you can't get any of these pitchers, to agree to a deal. Guess what? Then you go out and trade for them. That's going to have to happen. The Giants could not get hitters to sign there. They have not been able to do that. So what do? They go out and trade for a bat. Like that's what you have to do. So this is going to be a big one coming up. And like we've talked about, if these guys in this front office and this team were so embarrassed by the two straight sweeps in the playoffs and just flat out not showing up, how is it going to feel when you're 15 games under 500 in September, and you have traded Cedric Mullins and Ryan O'Hearn and Zach Eflin and Sagano and these guys? Like, that's not what any of these guys wanted, but this is a path that now we're going to have to go on. And we've talked about it at length the last couple of weeks, but about like how you can't trade these guys, you have to hold on to them. And now, again, the more that they play like this, it's like, well, I don't think maybe they do trade them. I think they do because again, they can't get out of their way and they're going to try and retool and not rebuild fully, but retool and reload, and trading some of these guys is probably going to be the way that it goes. So that's, and again, this team and this front office is no one to blame but themselves. That's
where I'm at. It just disappoints me that, like, through no fault of these young guys that you were supposed to build around, now all of a sudden you're shaking up their world again. And you're getting rid of an O'Hearn, who's like their leader and their friend, probably in a lot of cases. And you're getting rid of an Eflin who's blended in seamlessly with them. And you're getting rid of a Sugano who you've only had for less than half a year. And like all of it, now he's gone. It's just like, again, it's just like the psychological damage factor. I think like this is already a team that shows it has some psychological damage to it to me. And like, that's not good for young guys. And to just like completely just pull the plug again, that would be tough. And I don't know, like if they do it, I wouldn't be like super down in the dumps, because what I would say is like Jackson Holiday really continues to impress, like, hitting over Mendoza and I think 8 home runs at this point. And it just feels like literally the first pitch of every game, he's just hitting that little oppo just slider down the left side, and he's on first base and he's smiling. And then, dude, like Westberg and Cows are coming back, both looking amazing when they've been playing, since they've both come back. And like, those guys aren't even all that young anymore, but that's kind of your young core, along with Adley, who you said was coming around, and Gunner's Gunner. And it just like, it would be disappointing for it to just completely pull the plug on those guys again and say like, okay, well, we're going to rebuild around you again. And then like, guess what? What if they don't have that home run out of the park off season and build around them properly? Like, man, if I'm Scott Boras, I'm thinking long and hard about that.
Oh, absolutely. And again, that's because again, I think Adley's a free agent. 20, is it after 27 or in 27? There's not going to be baseball in 2027 too. We know that I think that's a pretty stamped thing about the strike. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that the agents are talking about, a trade or getting them out of here. And next thing we know, it's Manny Machado all over again. And I remember that day where they traded, everyone, the Scope, Gosman, O'Day, like all those guys, Britton. Like I remember those couple of days, and that was absolutely brutal. And now it's like you said, like we're kind of heading right back in that direction.
What's so disheartening about that this time around is like that just doesn't need to happen. Like it doesn't have to be this way. There is no Peter Angelos who has to be the smartest and the loudest guy in the room telling you what to do. And I don't want to pay this guy and you got to get rid of him. There's no John Angelos fumbling around in the dark, putting his foot in his mouth every time he gets in front of a microphone. Like, feels like to me, you've got the right guy at owner. And like, I hope like, again, like, sure, give him another off season, I guess. But like, if they don't sack up and make some moves, then I hope Rubenstein has the courage that needs to do what needs to be done.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I completely agree. And again, it's time to improve the ball club. I think it's past time, and That's what they need to do. So,
well, if you're a mid-market team, you have to do it through a combination of the
I
draft
didn't even
and controlling your payroll. So
bother reading that article. I was like, I am not in the proper headspace to try and like read through word salad right now. I was just like, I'm not. I think I muted that like tweet, and I was just like, I'm not doing this. I'm not.
unsubscribe. Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I can never say this guy's name. Narniak, I think they did. I don't know about the 7th inning because again, I wasn't watching because I don't have Roku TV, whatever that is. But following along on the game track or whatever, Laureano squared around a bunt. It said, I think, after they got the first 2 guys on and he couldn't get one down. So again, I don't know how he wasn't able to get. I don't know what they looked like. I don't know if he just missed or if he bunted foul, but he wasn't able to get him over. So.
I was kind of half paying attention at that point. I feel like he didn't. I was making my lunch at that exact moment because you can't skip. But yeah, what the hell does it even matter? Like, he probably would have screwed up the bunt anyway. The way that
Kind of
small ball.
Let me see. Where is it? Laureano. I'm trying to find it. Foul bunt, ball in the dirt, foul, ball, foul, swinging strike. So it looks like he tried the bunt once. On the first pitch, but again, it just says foul. So I don't know. Again, I mean, Laureano's been fine. I and I don't know if you're going to bunt with Cowser. I know Cowser had an RBI earlier today. Like obviously we see the power. But yeah, I mean, in a small ball, it's they were 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position. That's the answer right there. And to their point, I mean, the Yankees were 3 for 11. But it's one more hit, and guess what? That hit won them the game. Like that's all you need to know, and that's just how it goes. But it sucks. Like I said, another winnable series, but that's just kind of the micro of everything going on, and it's just kind of it just feels like Groundhog Day. You said it best, like 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and that's just I don't know. This is the year that we're having. Round and round we go. Where we stop, no one will know. We will say this too, and Narniak just pointed it out too. You talked about him a little bit. Kramer was great. The bullpen outside of Baker having, the little issues was great too. And Baker's been awesome all year, but Sir Anthony sacking up against Judge was
that's pretty at bat by Judge too. He really fought there, and to go right back at him, just right down the pipe and get the strikeout. That was really impressive.
3-2 changeup, like in the heart of the zone. Versus Aaron Judge is, I mean, the size balls you have to pull that off is something. But
he might have positioned it a little bit by accident too. I think the announcers are saying that he probably expected it to drop a little bit further, but it hung up on him, and I think Judge was thinking the same thing, and he just kind of whiffed. So
yeah, he's Judge. I mean, Judge did his damage. We saw the home run was it yesterday or 2 nights ago? 2 nights ago, I think. But
I think they had 3 home runs, 3 like solo shots in a row, maybe. Lost. So
yeah, but I don't know. Again, everybody else. I mean, Charlie Morton was great in Tampa. Again, we didn't talk about that series much, but he continues to be a really good pitcher, and I think he goes Wednesday. I was going to go tomorrow, but I forgot that I had prior commitments, but. I think Trevor Rogers tomorrow, but again, the starting pitching outside of, which is so weird to say, Eflin and Sagano has been solid the last, couple times around. But yeah, just 100%. frustrating, and that's I wish these guys had an off day tomorrow, and it's so weird too because again, what did they do? After they get their the Tampa Bay comes back the other night, they come back and they win that game. They win the next game, And then they win the first one against New York. And you're like, man, this team is really good at flushing things and putting those bad losses behind them and getting them out of there. And
the problem is they're good at that, but they're also good at the inverse where it's like they can't build off of wins either. Like, there's no consistency game to game, inning to inning, swing to swing. Like,
I talked to someone yesterday and they were like 2 years ago and even the first half of last year, what would they do? And we talked about it on here. They'd win the first 2 and then they'd lose Sunday. And then they win the first 2 and then they'd lose on Wednesday. Then they'd win the first 2 and then they'd lose Sunday. And you're like, okay, well, yeah, it's like the little 2-game streaks are fun, but like a 4, 5, 6 gamer, that wouldn't kill you. And that's, again, that's kind of just how it's still going now.
I would kill for that. I remember, my sweet summer child attitude. I'd be annoyed because we'd always be recording after a loss, even though they won the series. Now I would be elated with that, but such is life.
Yeah. So I don't know. Texas will be interesting. I'm watching them right now. They are down 6-2 and counting versus your Pittsburgh Pirates. He fumbled that one. 7-2 now. So again, they're a funky team. I don't know who's pitching for them. I know they've had a very hard time scoring, but knowing how this is going to go, they'll score 11 tomorrow and 8 on Tuesday and 9 on Wednesday or something like that. But I don't know. That's what they got up next. And again, I mean, it's going to be so hot this week too. And they have an off day on Thursday, I believe. But then they go Texas, Tampa, then comes up here. And then they go down to Texas too. So it's not an easy schedule at all. But these are the teams that are in front of you and that you're going to have to beat, if you do want to claw and get back in this thing. So what are they? 11 games under right now, they can't get over that 10-9 game under little hump and go from there. But that's.
Yeah. I mean, things felt dire before that West Coast swing, and you go out there and you sweep the Mariners, and then obviously you dropped that series to Sacramento, but you walked away, I think 4-2 out of that one. It's like, if you can put together another stretch like that, you'll be feeling, like I said, better about yourself as you head towards the break. We just don't know what's going to happen. I'm not totally writing off that it could, because like I said, we just don't know what we're going to see from this team on a nightly basis, but better hope it happens. If not this series, then the next one, and maybe some more after that, if you're going to, like I said, really feel good about yourself heading into the break.
Yeah. So, and Spen had talked about it. Spen talked about it like super early, like the second week of the season, where he's like, good, don't let Adley go to the All-Star game. Don't let Gunnar do the home run derby. Don't let Santander go there. Don't let any of these guys, don't let the pitchers go. Like it's, hopefully it's Jackson and O'Hearn, and that's it. I think it would be really cool for both of those guys to get there. But we don't need 6 guys on the red carpet sweating their dicks off in Atlanta, wearing God knows, or they were great outfits, but it's like we wanted them to rest, get some rest, and try and turn this thing around and get it back in a good spot heading into the second half. So
absolutely. All right, pal. That's pretty much all I got on a frustrating overall week in Orioles baseball. One that could have gone worse, but certainly also could have gone better.
Do we want to address this upcoming weekend too? We don't. So Thursday night we'll have we'll do the recap, or Thursday or Wednesday, whatever. But then this weekend, Jake and I are engaging in some debauchery with several other members of the podcast in Philadelphia and New York City. And I'm terrified to check the weather in New York City. I am so afraid.
Yeah, it looks like rain in Philly, so that'll be great for our golf round. Yeah, Pat, bring a wetsuit for the golf round on that one, and then New York will be indoors, I think, mainly for the darts championship. But yeah, whatever, man. I'm pressing unsubscribe as far as the weather goes this year. I'm just gonna roll with the punches, because I try to will things into existence and they don't happen.
Yeah, and then I have a softball game at 8:00 on Sunday night after we get back, so I don't know. I do not know what the podcast schedule will be for the weekend.
Yeah, we've got, I think Spenny will not be in attendance, so maybe we'll give him a solo hour, hook him up with a guest or something, and he can rant and rave about some of the Orioles baseball that he hasn't been around to talk about throughout the last couple of weeks. So that will be good.
That'll be fun. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens and what kind of shape we're in.
Yeah, we could also maybe bring some USB mics and just kind of shoot from the hip,
Yeah, I'm sure that'll get the bachelor party really fucking going.
Yeah, that'll get the guys.
Hey, can we keep it down, guys? We're trying to talk about a team that's 12 games under 500 in here.
Yeah, and every time that we have recorded Under the Influence, that's always gone really well and just great content. So, so that would be great all around.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll I don't know. I can't speak for anyone else in the house, but I would trust you guys Under the Influence. I don't know. I don't know the other people. So
yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Actually, for that reason, that might be a liability. So
yeah. I don't know. It's a hot time right now in the on the Twitter streets with some events going on. So I don't know if we really want to give anyone an open mic.
Yeah, no, that might maybe just pre-record it and make sure I have editorial control.
Edit out anything we need to. So
yeah. All right, is that all we got?
I think it is.
All right. Well, appreciate y'all hanging with us here in the comments and everybody listening after the fact. If you liked what you heard, subscribe to us here on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us on social media at Exit52 Podcast on X and on Instagram. I am at Jake Louque on the Twitter machine. Eric is at EDITTI22. Brian at Barstool Banks. Taylor at Taylor Smythe 10. Spenny Ravens 4 Dummies. That is a number 4 in the middle. Thanks again. Like we said, might be a weird schedule coming up here this week, but we'll figure it out. And until then, you guys be safe and enjoy the beginning of your summer. It's officially here.
Bye.
Arrivederci.